from this?
There's SoundCloud rippers that are like YouTube rippers that you can use. I'll show you how to do it. I think I'm gonna do it this time because I'm gonna switch to iMovie. It seems like it'll be easier.
Okay.
But there it isolates like the sound and stuff, so you can just, you know. I mean, this is how we used to record them, you know.
Yeah, basically, just rip the chat, rip the audio.
Mhm. All right. You want to start?
For sure, I'm ready to go.
Let's do this. Hello again and welcome to the Counter Press Pot. My name is Josh. I'm joined as always by my co-host VJ.
Hey guys, what's up? It's been a long time. Much like soccer, we basically took a break from podcasting. Took another long, extended international break. But we're back, and Josh, it seems like we missed quite a few matches while we were away.
Yeah, I gotta say, right when the Bundesliga was starting up, I didn't know how I felt about all the leagues restarting. I just I didn't know if it was like ethical given Corona and like what was going on. I just felt like it was gonna be like an NBA bubble kind of situation where you're endangering the lives of the players, the lives of all the staff, the families of all those people. But I I guess my thing is in most of the countries where we're watching football, the pandemic is under much better handle. And I think that my view on that's kind of skewed as someone that lives in the United States. But yeah, I guess at first my apprehension was like I didn't really want to watch and record about these games, but now like there's so much that's happened, so we really got to cover all this. And now, I mean, I'm kind of over my little dilemma. I'm just watching games.
Yeah, certainly. Like, the games have been looking really good, even without the fans. Obviously, with the fans, it would have been amazing. But right now, it's just not possible, like you said, with the pandemic. But I mean, I'm still liking how these games are being played. Given the way the schedule is now, we have games on every day in every single league. So there's no short of entertainment. So I mean,
Yeah,
why
it's
not
actually too
just?
much, honestly.
Yeah, it feels. Yeah, honestly, it sometimes does. But I mean, a lot of soccer is better than no soccer for any of us. So why not just dive right into this? I would say, starting with the Premier League.
Yeah, let's start with the Prem. So, I guess the biggest news besides like the late, like not necessarily latest. Liverpool locked up the league. They with the Chelsea win over City, they mathematically clinched the title. Kind of all knew it was coming. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be that game but at the same time, I didn't really think City wanted to lose the title at the Etihad either. So.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of those games where like this one of those seasons where you're just like, all right, yeah, league title's wrapped up, it's all over. But I mean, credit to the Premier League and sort of its madness that there's like more other things that we are all worried about in terms of Champions League places, Europa League places. The relegation battle still isn't over, but this City ruling I
Yeah,
think has
praying
taken
for
the
the West
headlines.
Ham relegation, baby. Come on.
Everton did Villa no favors today as we're recording it on July 16th. But the City ruling, I think that's one of those ones that happened really early this week. And it's sort of something we need to talk about, although it's something that didn't happen on the field per se.
Yeah, and VJ and I are both law experts, and so we combed through the entire CAS ruling, and we're really, it's like back of the hand there with all the legal knowledge that
Yes,
we
you're talking
consume
to
there.
two definite lawyers right now.
Um, yeah, so basically, what it comes down to from the ruling is that everything's past what what would congenially refer to as the statute of limitations. So they kind of don't like City don't really have to answer to most of the things that they did, or TS ruled that basically there wasn't like sufficient evidence of the things that were within their like 5 year period to investigate. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, I mean
weird.
that's yeah.
It's
I was gonna
all
say
weird.
you kind of like gave the point that I gave as like someone who obviously who doesn't have that much legal knowledge. I mean that's what like when we saw like the reports coming out from everyone reporting about it, they're saying, oh, like it's with after 5 years, we can't really go back and see it, and we're just going to fine City 10 million, is it pounds for not cooperating in the investigation.
I
So
thought it
it
was
seemed,
euros, and then they were gonna have to pay
yeah,
like 12 million pound. I don't remember what the
yeah, the
exact numbers
conversions,
were.
it's a little tough sometimes.
In a rare move, I agree with Jose Mourinho, where he was like, if are they guilty or are they innocent? If they're innocent, why are they getting fined? And if they're guilty, why is the
Yeah,
only thing the fine? Like it truly
yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
I was thinking the same thing, in that sort of the fine seems like a slap on the wrist. And it's one of those things where they said, like, we can't really prove that you did this, but at the same time, we can't really clear you of your innocence. And I think that's a really big part of it, is not just that in that city essentially didn't get the ban overturned. I think what would have been better was they would have been cleared of the charge, which absolutely did not happen. So now this leaves us
Well,
once again with
essentially
the
they are because if the big consequence was the 2-year ban and that's been overturned, then in the court of law they're essentially innocent, even if they have to pay whatever the fine is. Like, yeah, maybe in like the court of public opinion they're
yeah, I
not
was gonna say
like
the court
seen
of public
super
opinion
well,
is
but
different.
like I don't know. Do you think they care? Do you think we're even gonna care in a year and a half? Everyone makes City jokes all the
Um,
time. They don't have any
yeah,
fans. They're propped up by I'm not gonna bring up the oligarchy thing because that's what my club is based around. But there's all sorts of negatives you can bring up about City at any given time. I don't think that the banter is going to stop, but do they really care? They're going to be in Champions League. I mean, if you think about it, they went from about to lose 3 or 4 like really big pieces. They'd already lost Zane, but like his relationship with Pep had kind of soured. Like they were on track to probably like Aguero was gonna go somewhere, either Argentina or back to Spain. Sterling was considering leaving. KDB had publicly said he was considering a move if they got a 2-year ban. So, and overnight, basically, it looks like they're going to retain 3 out of the 4 guys I just said because obviously Zane is gone. But
and then
um,
spend even more now because they basically said like, oh, okay, we're
yeah,
fine.
you got the
I
green
think
light.
this
You're going to
does,
be in Champions League.
yeah,
So,
exactly. I think this also brings up like the age-old question, which I feel like even though it's a very talking point of a lot of soccer content machines, is that the same thing's like, what purpose does FFP really serve, right?
yeah, I mean, I saw, it's a hot take that's been drilled into the ground this week, but FFP kind of, it got placed in after City so that another team couldn't do a Leeds,
Yeah,
that
that's what
they're,
I was going for, the exact same take
uh,
on that.
but also like in the same vein that Tifo said, like the stated like premise of FFP is so that there's not like a Portsmouth situation where you take a club that's been around for a very long time, you levy a bunch of debt against its name basically in order to short term shore up the squad, and then the results don't match the long term projections that you need to hit if you'd like to repay all of your debts, and then you just like put the club into administration and screw all those people over. So
Yeah,
I get that, but at the same time, it is essentially making it so that there's just going to be a permanent top six. There's never going to be enough changes in positions or money or anything that's going to allow clubs to get to the heights that they need to. And I just think that it's like I, City are getting a smaller fine than lower league clubs have had to face. It's just like
yeah.
it's just silly. Like I don't the whole thing's messed up. It's not like we can do anything about it, but it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is used as like a safety net, because we have seen with like teams that basically like, they just bank on the fact that they're making Champions League, and when they don't, basically the proverbial roof comes crashing in, right? And then you have this like big fire sale, like obviously we saw with Portsmouth, we saw with Leeds. In the same way, I mean, because like wacky ownership stuff takes place all the time. Like, look at what happens with what's happening with Wigan Athletic right now, right? They're basically firmly in mid-table in the championship, and they might go back. They might go down and declare for bankruptcy because of their ownership situation. So I do feel that, like, in soccer especially, like these type of situations where uh, teams overspend their bill certainly does happen. So I do think FFP does help in that safety net, but it's also not what people I think it's also not doing the thing which I think people wished or thought it would do, which is stop the top teams from spending too much money and writing off a bunch of their losses as actual profits.
Yeah, I don't want to get bogged down in FFP.
Yeah,
I barely even wanted to talk about the city ruling because it just makes me mad. Like mo morality and and just like cheating aside or whatever, it also just makes the top four race harder. So, um, you know, whatever. Screw them.
yeah. I mean, yeah. If anything, I mean, I have no real take on this. It's fine. It's whatever.
Here's my
It was
take:
really
Real
surprising.
Madrid sweep those motherfuckers. Anyway, even though you lost the
Uh,
first game.
so another thing, the transfer window got announced. I think it's going to be coming in next couple of weeks or the next, yeah, or so. So we're going to see teams officially announce their signings. Like, I don't know, Timo Werner is going to come soon to Chelsea,
I gotta say,
and
all the Chelsea transfers have kind of been announced. Maybe there's gonna be like one more big boy that comes in this window, whether it be Havertz or a center back or whatever. I'm hoping for Koulibaly or Skriniar, but it's besides the point. But I will say, now that Chelsea's are like somewhat wrapped up, besides that, I'm rooting for you, man. I need you to get a nice Chris Palmas Rodriguez in that Everton lineup.
yeah, the
Oof.
reports right now he doesn't want to come. I think Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is looking like the more likely one. Allen as well from Napoli.
Oof.
They seem like they want to sell him. So I'm hoping for some of those
He's
guys. I mean,
32,
Hamas
right?
would be nice, but like at the same time, like Everton's done this before, where they sign guys huge contracts. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
I'm
wouldn't want to
fine with
come in unless his wages were a bit
yeah,
high.
and just highly inflated. But plus, he's going to play what like a 10, which like Everton have like three guys who already do,
Yeah, but
and
none
given
of
the
them are
score,
very creative.
yeah, none of them are James Rodriguez. I will say that. But I would like to talk about actual good teams like a Chelsea.
Oh, thanks,
In
man.
that this race for the Champions League spot is getting really, really interesting. Chelsea, United, Leicester are the three big players with those two spots. Because now that City Champions League is back, right? There's one less Champions League spot to fight for. So things get a lot tighter and a lot more hectic with everyone else. So I was going to ask you this. Obviously, I think Chelsea seemed the most set on finishing third. They just need a draw, I believe, against Liverpool.
Please don't say
Um,
that.
I mean, it is what it is, right? They actually just need a draw. Although, I mean,
Man, you
to be
just kicked
honest,
off against Crystal Palace. If they drop points against Crystal Palace, I'm pretty sure we secure Champions League regardless.
yeah.
So,
And by the time this is out, it's probably not relevant. So I will ask though, out of Leicester, Man U, who do you see like being the ones who like make that fourth spot? Like,
oh,
do
it's
you
got to be
believe in
United.
United enough?
100% it's got
Yeah.
to be United. As much as I hate to say it, they've looked really nice since the restart,
I
especially
would say they're the best
Greenwood.
team in the league since the restart. I would go that far in saying
Um,
that.
I think they've looked really really nice since the restart. Yeah, I don't think that's an outrageous thing to say that they've
hmm
been the best. Especially with Liverpool faulting, everything going on. I don't know. I think now. I think today we're probably gonna know where the points are gonna be. Um, Leicester won, but I don't know. The it seems like the BRE is not working out. Man, but United and Europa would be so fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, we're getting more and more clarity on the Champions League spot, but like
Scams,
the
don't
Europa League
arrest me.
spots.
They don't listen anyway.
um, but I mean, I feel like the Europa League spots are a lot more tighter too, because you have Sheffield at 54 points, you have Tottenham at 55, and you have Wolves at 56, and then you have obviously Arsenal are there too, at 53 points, and maybe Burnley, but I'm not gonna hold my breath on that. So I'm gonna ask you the same question again. Obviously, I think United were gonna get the Champions League spot over Leicester. Leicester looked really, really bad to start this campaign. Losing to Bournemouth feels like a inexplicable loss, especially the way they did.
Losing to Bournemouth after Bournemouth had zero shots in the first half is
Yeah,
4-1 too. I mean, like, come on.
yeah, exactly. So I'll ask you for the Europa League spot. Who do you think finishes on top of all these four teams? I would say Wolves, Tottenham, Sheffield, Arsenal. I mean, I would have to say Wolves, but I think yeah, I think Wolves or Arsenal maybe because Arsenal
I
doesn't
was gonna
have
say
like
Arsenal have looked not bad since the restart. Besides, like they had a couple shaky games. I love to watch AFTV, see how much they're crying about things.
mhm.
But truly, like they've looked pretty good. I think Arteta. I know Arsenal can't give him a ton of financial backing, but giving him like a little bit of support, a couple good signings, and that team could look really nice. I think they have a good basis. And they're not as terrible as I think some other fans
Yeah, I
think that
mean
they
they've
are.
been playing well. Obviously like Arteta ball hasn't exactly panned out. They don't look as good offensively as you would think they would. But they got key results, I would say. Beating Liverpool is a big deal. They were the better team in the North London derby. Um, is
Yeah,
that their
yeah, yeah,
defense is
that
prone
that
to making
Spurs
bonehead mistakes.
that Spurs result was, I mean, the match was just garbage, like truly.
hmm Yeah, and like Sheffield, still have to play Everton, but I mean, and like, let me see, I have to think about it. Sheffield have to play Everton, and then they have to play Southampton, which are two not so easy games. I would say, despite Everton being in absolute shambles right now. Wolves have to play Chelsea on the final day, I believe, right? So that isn't easy as well. With those teams having a lot to play for, Spurs have to play Leicester next. So these games are coming fast and heavy. I would give the edge to Wolves at the moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Arsenal, like jump and
Could you
make like a
imagine if,
late
if,
run and
if
get faster.
Spurs limp into Europa?
hmm I mean, at the moment they seem to be doing just that, right?
No, I mean they had
Uh, but
they drew Bournemouth 2 days ago, I want to say. Wasn't it a 0-0 draw? No, that might have
yeah,
been.
yeah, it was a nil-nil draw.
That
Last
was
week actually,
yeah, that was like 4 days ago. Dude, there's so many
seven
matches.
7 days ago, buddy, 7. So many matches coming in.
I don't add well.
Thinking, um, so I mean the race for the Europa League is going to be fun. There's also like these new teams, like you have Wolves, you have Sheffield United. It's not the same old just like here's Tottenham and Arsenal
Yeah, our
battling it out.
Blades have looked great.
Yeah, I mean
I
they've
love when
looked
they
fantastic.
scored like more than one goal like 4 times this campaign, and like one of them is 3-0 at Chelsea. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean for those of you playing bingo at
Wait,
home,
wasn't it
check it off.
four?
We're going to
I don't
talk
even
about
remember.
overlapping center backs with Sheffield. So
No,
there you go. I mean I
nope.
feel like that plan has worked so far, and they've exceeded massive expectations. Because I feel like when Wolves first got promoted, everyone was like, "Oh, like look at Wolves, like look at how they're playing, like this, and like look at the funding that they have coming into the Premier League." I feel like it wasn't that big of a surprise to see Wolves do so well, but like Sheffield are like a genuine surprise.
Yeah, they've definitely not. They've gotten lucky on account that a lot of their results have been by like a 1 goal margin.
hmm
Not necessarily like all luck, but I do think that, like you said, it's very surprising their placement in the table this year. I wonder how well they'll do next year, given that I think at least the top 4 or 5 clubs are going to be significantly better. Bar Liverpool, I think they'll probably have like around the same amount of points, but I do think that like I think this year for the Prem was kind of a weak year. I think that a lot of the top six are in like a rebuilding phase. Leicester was in second for like a huge part of this year, like not huge, but like I just think that I it wouldn't surprise me if Sheffield fall to more of like a much more of like a solidly mid-table
Yeah.
club than
hmm
than on the periphery of European
Yeah,
football.
you talk about that like those 1-0 victories. Their defense has been solid, but to quote advanced stats, right now I think they have been like
Listeners, VJ has become an XG thought. I'm sorry to report this. I don't know how this happened, but it has. Um, we'll be holding a vigil on Friday.
yes. For those of you that do know me in real life, you know how much I love advanced stats, so this shouldn't come as much as a surprise. But they like are their XG goals against compared to like their actual goals against. I mean they allowed 35 goals so far in the season. This is not barring today's game, but like they've outperformed their XG like by like 14. So like XGA predicts them to allow 49 goals. They've only allowed 35. So obviously some of that is a circumstance, but at the same time, like that's such a big margin. And it's like you said, like they have gotten lucky on some occasions. I do believe, like you said, like next year they do seem a little more mid-table. If they do make Europa League, I think Sheffield genuinely have to make a big decision when the Europa League does start. Of
Yeah, they gotta
hey, how
do.
much should we
Isn't that
put
what
our effort
Burnley
into
did?
this?
Isn't that what Burnley did
Yeah,
the other season, where they
Burnley
were just
basically
like,
punted on
yeah,
Europa League. I mean, I think
yeah,
that's the big thing that you see with like all these like new teams. Obviously Wolves is doing great right now. They are sixth in the table and they're like in the Europa League quarterfinals. But not all teams have the funding or the players like Wolves do.
I mean,
So I
Wolves
think
are barely scraping that too. I mean, like they don't have enough rotation guys truly to perform at like the highest level if they're in both competitions. I think that they kind of got bailed out this year, just because I think down the stretch it really would have hurt their place in the table, having to
yeah,
play so many games. So
hmm I think so too. Um, let me
because I mean,
see other things that would.
Just real quick, Adama and Jimenez have the most link-up goals this year between any given duo, and that's great, but that's untenable. You know, you can't always have those two guys out on the field for 50 games if you're playing in tournaments and what have you. So I think that I think truly, even though like the games have not been spaced out in the last like month, I think the Wolves definitely benefited from European competition being suspended. So.
Yeah, I think that'll help a lot of clubs. In fact, with the European competition not being overlapping with their league play, as per se, I do think Wolves have a general chance to win Europa League. Sorry for like the little Europa League talk, but like they have a really tough draw, very
You
very tough
should be
draw, tougher
sorry.
than Man U's draw, tougher than Man U's. Anything else we'd like to add about the Premier League? I think, I mean, obviously Bournemouth, Villa still have a fighting chance to send Watford and West Ham down. Brighton looks safe, but like mathematically, they still could go down. I think that's about it. There's about five teams I would say that are in genuine that are like have a mathematical chance of going down, but like I think there's only like two right now that should be in real danger.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton are winning in the Southampton game, so
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that would basically seal.
our
Um,
Seagulls.
I mean, Graham
Yeah,
Potter's Seagulls.
yeah.
But if
If
they
my
do
man can
somehow
keep
end
him in
up
the
losing
Prem,
that
that'd be
game,
great. Sad to see Norwich go. You did this to yourselves. Um, because they mathematically sealed it, right?
yeah, Norwich are going
Yeah,
down definitely.
yeah.
They also
There's
set the
only two
record
games left.
for the most relegations from the Premier League with five. So they are the
Nice.
definition of what you call a yo-yo club. So I mean, I think they expected this though.
How you
This isn't like the
say?
slate. This isn't to like slate Norwich or anything, but like they kind of expected it, that like, hey, we would go back down. We're sort of not the best team. We're not. You don't have like we are one of the lower teams in the league. They didn't really spend much in the off season. In the summer transfer window to begin with, so they sort of just kept the squad as is. I do expect them to move some guys. Maybe Buendia goes, maybe Cantwell goes,
Yeah,
right?
I think they're gonna do their like absolutely hardest to keep Cantwell there, and I think he could do with and like another year like in the championship. I think he was
Hmm.
good this year, and I think he's showed promise, but still really young. And I think that you give him like another year or two to develop, and I think he could be a very good player for a Prem team or or wherever he wants to
for
go.
for
But
Norwich if they come back up, right? So I
I
certainly
wonder,
think
I do sincerely wonder if Norwich will bounce back up immediately, just because I think they have a lot of financial things. I think they're gonna have to sell like some of their squad's aging. I think that they're gonna have to move on from some guys. I think they might rebuild, but it's hard to tell.
yeah, and plus the championship is a chasm, right? So like once you go back down, you never know if you're gonna come back up. Like that's the thing,
Truly.
right? No team, no football club is essentially dumb enough to be like, oh, we're totally okay with going down because we're just gonna go right back up. Like no team has that like insane belief
Yeah, and who the
that
hell
they're
wants to
gonna.
play Derby and shit? Like, come on.
So yeah, that's the our takes on the relegation race. I really would like to see Bournemouth stay up, but like I just don't think that schedule is
I
looking.
just need West Ham to get the hell out of here. That'd be so great. Especially that gigantic stadium in the championship. Oof, that'd be great.
I mean, yeah, I just don't see any way for Bournemouth staying up at the moment, given like they need some results to go extremely their way. Like they'll need to get some big upsets on their hands. Same with Villa, I think.
Well, they literally have to win both their games and hope that
Yeah, I do think
Watford,
if there's a
West Ham.
team outside of the relegation zone that's most likely to drop, it is Watford, and that's not saying it because they're 17th. I think Watford do have like a genuinely, like tough schedule.
They're
As
bad.
I'm Yeah.
Free
Also,
Ismail
they're not
Sarr from that
they're
team, dude.
they're not that good. They have to play Man City on next Tuesday. They have to play West Ham tomorrow, basically, July 17th, and then Arsenal to finish the day to finish the season. So, I mean, there's a genuine chance that they don't win any of those three games, and there's also a genuine chance they win two of those games, right? Because you never know what you're going to get from Arsenal or West Ham. But I think that should wrap up the Premier League. Anything else you want to talk about? I mean, I'm not really interested in talking about the mid-table teams, to be honest with you.
Oh, dude, we
Uh,
love ourselves a non sequitur mid-table talk. No, I think that probably
um,
wraps us up on the Prem. Do you wanna talk about Serie A?
yes, that's been the league I've been most interested in. Obviously, Juventus are up 7 points in the table, but like they haven't been the best team since the restart. They have been looking shaky, which like I don't think affects their prospects in the league because they're up 7 points with like 3 games to go, 3 or 2 games to go. So they should actually it is 3 games to go because they should be fine. But Atalanta are hot on their heels. I just want to talk about Atalanta for like a couple of minutes. Like how good
I know
have they
you
been
do,
this
buddy.
season? How good have they been this season? They scored 93 goals, and with a goal difference of 50, so which is incredible. Which makes you think like usually everyone's like, oh, an Atalanta game usually ends like 4-3. Like no, like they're beating teams like 6-2, and they're beating teams like 4-0. Like this is like a very good team. I think Gasparini has them playing at like their exact peak. Like this is like a historical moment for this club. Like they qualified for the Champions League for the first time last season, and right now, as of things stand, like they're gonna finish with their highest ever standing in Serie A. So I mean, props to Gasparini. Atalanta have been like the best team to watch in Europe, and it's not really like a hipster thing at this point because like everyone else is jumping on the
No, they're just
bandwagon as
fun.
well. Yeah,
They're fun to watch. The Ilicic, what a talent. Duvan Zapata, what a talent. Papu, obviously, we all know. Um, I-
Muriel.
I guess the problem is outside of Muriel. Well, I think Muriel might be a little older too, but I think Zapata's turning 30. Um,
Yeah, this is an older squad.
Papu's,
This is
yeah. I mean, like they're. I don't know if Gasperini can keep them playing at the level that they currently are, because they're a well-oiled machine right now.
mhm.
Um, I will say, sorry, Juventus is like one of the worst Juventus teams we've seen in 5 years, and they're still walking to the title, which like whatever. But Italy's gonna Italy, man. Gotta hand it to
Yeah,
Atalanta.
yeah, I think so. And this is more of like, yeah, like you said, like they're still walking the league, Juventus, and this is more of just like other teams tripping over themselves than it is Juventus like just beating up on other teams. I would surely like this to be like a much closer race going down to the last minutes. But I want to go back to Juventus because I feel like with Atalanta we could get lost in like the way that they play, how they like attack the overlaps on each side. But with the Juventus, like thinking bigger picture here, because obviously Serie A they seem like destined to win the title on the final day with like a draw or something. Uh, but like, do you worry about them heading into their second game against I think Lyon in the Champions League, like with the way you've seen them play so far?
Yeah, I don't know. They've looked disjointed at times. I mean, I think Ronaldo right now is 25 goals. I believe he's the second highest goal scorer in the league. I think Immobile is probably ahead of him. Um, but I don't really know. I don't follow Serie A like our the hipster correspondent here. But I will say I think the Juventus story is also a story of the teams surrounding them. The collapse of Lazio, Inter,
Yeah,
especially Inter. I think that Conte started out the season super nice, and now he's soured his relationship with a couple of the players. I think that um, you know the board are talking about selling Skriniar, so there's clearly some discontent going on. Godin is like awful since the restart. Um, Lazio, similar kind of picture. Luis Alberto definitely one of their players of the year. Immobile with a great goal tally, but just faltering in big games. Like I think that if they had picked up a couple of the results needed, they would not be 8 points back right now and would actually be challenging. But it is what
yeah.
it is.
Also, losing that Coppa Italia final for Juventus to Napoli wasn't exactly a good look, but I tried not to read things too much into it because like, oh, the restart just started,
It's a
and
great
then like
final
they,
though.
yeah, it was a great final. But then like Juventus have looked shaky. ever since. And I think also part of it is talking about Napoli, which like leads us into our next point about the race for sixth, which is that final Europa League spot in Italy. It's between Napoli and Milan. Roma are 4 points off at fifth, so I think they're kind of out of it. Out of it. Sassuolo have had a great season, along with Hellas Verona, but they're like too far out from Milan to be in this race. And right now it's like Napoli, Milan, 53 points each. And I think Italy does head to head, right? So
Yeah, I
um,
believe they do head-to-head before they do goal difference if you're tied on
yeah,
points.
which is an interesting. It's an interesting
Because that was why it was
tiebreaker.
such a big deal that De Vrij, when he played for Lazio, slide tackled in the box for a penalty against Inter. Gave them the
Hmm.
head-to-head win, and then they took the Champions League spot last year. 2 years ago? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
So I would like to say like this has been a weird. This has been one of the weirdest seasons for Napoli, right? Because like with Carlo, they had a locker room strike. They threatened to sue the players, right, for striking. I don't know. That's like we've ever seen that before, like with like the owner threatening to sue the players like in the middle of the season
Definitely
for
like
this.
the worst relationship I've seen with like club hierarchy and players since like the Sporting debacle.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, since the Sporting debacle, exactly.
Also,
Yeah.
gotta say, it's looking like the Carlo to Everton is one of the best like trades for like both clubs in this situation because under Gattuso they've looked. I mean, they've rebounded. You know, they were
Yeah.
ninth for a little bit there.
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna say like under Gattuso, like they've looked fantastic. He's got them playing extremely hard, which I feel like is like one of those like meh terms, but like this Napoli team's like looks re-energized, revamped. Mertens is still playing well.
Gotta
Obviously
love
Lozano's had
Mertens. Did you
yeah
see
Lozano's
that?
had his troubles.
Did you see the Mertens video he released in Italian talking about how much he loves Napoli?
No, I haven't, but like I wouldn't be surprised. Like, isn't he their all-time leading goal scorer
Yeah, he
right now? Yes. So,
he is indeed.
and then you have like you have Koulibaly still there leading the back line, and you also have
It looks like
Victor
Koulibaly's
Osimhen.
gonna leave this
Yeah,
season.
so that's what I was gonna talk about. They reportedly are looking to buy Victor Osimhen, is that how you pronounce his name, for 81 million euros,
Gotta ask scams, but I believe
which
that
is
is how it is.
unbelievable. 81 million euros, and it kind of makes you think like where are they getting this 81 million euros from? Because like
I think
Napoli's not a club that
it's
like buys that
I,
high, right? So,
yeah, I think it's kind of a Nicola Pepe thing too.
hmm
You know, to be at Lille, I think Osimhen's goal tally this season in Ligue 1 is 16 or 17. He's 20. Um, I mean that to show that kind of progress on a team that's not necessarily guaranteed a second or third spot in Ligue 1 year in year out. You're looking at teams like Marseille, Lyon. So to be in that kind of periphery and to be kind of the focal point of that Lille team, I think is really important. I think that Napoli recognize he's going to be force to be reckoned with, and like I think we're seeing like the big money transfers because Zane went to Bayern for what 60 million, 50 million euros.
hmm
It which obviously is on some Corona related. And the Osimhen fee hasn't been agreed yet. But we could see it 70, 80 million plus. Um, and I don't know. I just think that that's an interesting development. Like you said, I don't see Napoli as like a huge buying club.
yeah,
So
but like there
it's
are like
they do
layers
need
to
it though.
this. Yeah, yeah, they do need it, but like also I think there's like layers to this agreement, right? And that like you're asking, oh, where like this 80 million comes up, and you can like fit the pieces of the puzzle. You could be like, well, a Koulibaly sale could net them 80 mil. Like a Milik sale could net them. Plus, like those two combined could net you 80 million. So I definitely think they would be moving on from Milik at the end of the season, especially with Mertens still there, like Llorente still there. Um, I do think Koulibaly uh, seems to love Napoli, so it would be really weird to see him leave. But at the same time, like if you're Napoli and Chelsea come knocking on your door, right?
Or
Like and say,
City
hey, or
or
City come knock on your door and they're like, hey, we have like 70, 60 million, right? And you're like in your ADL, like do you think about it? Do you like go ahead with it? Like, cause like what backup prospects do Napoli have at the moment? And actually, as I was asking this question, I sort of answered it in my own head. Gabriel, also from Lille, is basically in links
yeah,
with
Lille
Napoli.
are a goddamn factory, man. I mean,
Yeah,
we're seeing these guys that maybe were on the roster in years previously, but like you give them 1 year in the starting 11 week in week out, and boom, they're suddenly like a world beater, or at least like have the prospect to be, and clubs are bidding 60, 70, 80 million on these guys.
Yeah, it's it's been a it's been a weird season for Napoli, but like I think things will eventually like sort itself out. I do like. Do you think Koulibaly stays to next season? Like, is he a Napoli player when the Serie A season starts next season? I think so, but like, I wouldn't
I
like bet a
don't.
house. I
I
wouldn't bet
think that
money on that.
there's enough pressure from outside to sell him, and I think that with the reports of Osimhen, and I think Napoli in general would like to sign some more attacking talent. And I think that the only person on that roster that's really going to garner them like a big ticket price is going to be Koulibaly. If they can sell enough like peripheral guys, like Allen had a good season, but if they can sell him to Everton or to another club for a decent fee, like a 20, 30 million, is he on a free or would they sell him?
I think I would be fine with that type of fee for Allen. Basically, Napoli don't want him anymore. That's what like the reports are coming out. And Everton really need an Allen type player like in that midfield to shore
Truly.
up the defense. Like yeah, he isn't the most creative player, but like he is a ball winner, which I feel like with Everton. I mean, I don't know if they're going to play 4-4-2 next season, so you need like someone
I
to
hope
help
they
fill up that
do.
space.
The Carlo 442 is so fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, because like he has nothing else to work with. This is sort of just like a standard, like hey, like it's like I can get my best guys in this position. But like enough about Everton. I feel like we talk about Everton a lot on this podcast, and they
Yeah, I
aren't
wonder why
really
that
worth our
is.
time. They aren't worth our time at the
You're
moment.
projecting
But
again.
talking, yeah, again. Um, but talking about another Serie A club going back to the race for that last Europa League spot, AC Milan have sort of like looked alive in the past. Like ever since the restart, they beat Lazio 3-0. They came back against Juventus 4-2. They drew with Napoli 2-2 despite being a man down, and they just beat Parma 3-1. So I mean, I think it's just like a great job by Pioli, Stefano Pioli, like getting this Milan team rejuvenated. And it's kind of weird because like he's not even going to keep his job at the end of the season, and he's still getting able to generate like these results. So like, do you have any thoughts on AC Milan right now and like what they could do possibly heading into next season?
Yeah, I wonder what they're going to do about the manager situation.
Hmm.
I mean, we both know that their finances are dodgy to say the
Hmm.
least.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of question marks around all sorts of things regarding their club. So we'll see. Um, that's going to be a lot of internal stuff that it's really hard to guess on. But Milan have looked good. Ante Rebic has been scoring. The Truth be told, I don't watch a lot of Milan. Curse club, but just based on their results, it's looking like they really are challenging for that sixth place. Is Serie A the same where like top four get Champions League, or is it
Yeah, I think
weighted
it's top
differently?
four get Champions League, fifth gets Europa League, sixth is like Europa League qualifiers, like you know how that works. But yeah, like you said, like Rebic has been like one of the best players like in Europe since the restart in terms of like getting like grabbing goals. Um, Theo Hernandez has been playing well like
Yeah,
since
wasn't Theo
Milan.
Hernandez was the leading goal scorer for Milan for a while, which is a little sus because he was the fullback, but
Yeah, I mean he sort of just like seems he sort of seems like to have settled in at Milan.
The
Obviously, like
Juventus
scoring a goal
upset
helps.
was great. Loved to see
Yes, I think.
that.
I mean, because like it just came out of nowhere, right? This wasn't like some like thing where like Milan like dominated at the start. Like no. They were down like 2-0 after like 54 minutes,
It was
and they
also
like
great to see Ronaldo just get egg all over his face too.
yeah. And they also like dominated the game in terms of way. Like they had five more shots than Juventus on target, which sort of speaks to like the problems will like Juventus have had for most of the season. But Serie A, nothing else really in terms of the league. Genoa and Lecce fighting for that last place spot, but I'm not really interested much in that bottom of the table stuff. Because like Serie A is sort of like a weird thing where like it's been a weird year in terms of teams like Verona have been having like a great year. Obviously Parma are in 12th, great story. Spal last place with 19 points, one of the lowest point totals we'll see in Europe so far. So do you have any other like Serie A takes before? we move on?
No. No, I'm just kidding. Go, my great Atalanta. Please
Yeah,
shine on.
I think, yeah. So for anyone not watching Atalanta, I would suggest go on Footballia or like just go on YouTube and just watch some Atalanta highlights. I promise you will not be disappointed. It's a really fun club. They got promoted like I think in like the early 2010s. And I've been balling out ever since because like I think like we were talking about with the Premier League, like it's so hard to break into that mold of the top six. Like well, like with any of the top like clubs in Europe, like it's really hard for a promoted side to like become like a stable fixture um, in those leagues itself, and Atlanta has been one of those teams. So I think it's just been a nice story, and they sort of been hitting the peak of their power so far. So I think if they're able to keep this up on at least till next year, that would be fine with me.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Don't know how they would do it though, like you said, but hopefully that Champions League money means something to them and not just extra cash for their owners. Moving on to La Liga, I feel like
I love the dip in the joy in your voice.
yeah.
Bright-eyed Atalanta fan.
Yeah, so as we're talking right now, Barcelona are losing to Osasuna 1-0 at halftime. Real Madrid are up 1-0, so it seems all but settled that Real Madrid will win this title.
Well,
But I will
Madrid
also say
just
that
need to
Barcelona,
win. At Barca don't even have to lose. Like Barca don't
yeah,
have to
Barcelona,
win at all.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
if either of
Barca
the
had
results hold,
the
it's over.
destiny is not in Barcelona's hands. I think that's what we're trying to say, or I'm trying to say. Um, I have this take in that yes, Real Madrid won it with like one of the best defenses in Europe since the restart. Like they've been absolutely unbelievable at the back. Sergio Ramos seems to like come alive again. But I
Everyone in
also
the
think
league is playing right now. That's crazy.
yeah. I also seem to think like Barcelona threw away this title, right? Like this seems like it could be like there's like two sides to this, right? Like Real Madrid were so good since the restart. They were looking like really good since I would say about like December. Like we were talking about them being on like that big winning streak back in one of our pods, like yonder in like January. But like um, have been so bad since the restart, and I think feel like things are just gonna get worse. So like enough of me ranting. Like, what are your thoughts on like Barcelona and Real Madrid in terms of this title?
Well, I think this 1-0 Osasuna at halftime is kind of all you have to know about this Barca season. I think in recent time there's been some inner churning. I think especially with I don't think the Griezmann signing has worked out at all. From any standpoint, it's clearly hurting them financially quite a bit. And he doesn't seem to fit in the lineup. He doesn't. I don't see him seriously displacing Suarez. They've been trying to play him out on the left, which he's been okay, but he just doesn't gel within the system. And it's like to be your second most expensive um, by wages player on the team, it's just stupid, and it's indicative of what the Barca board has done. And I believe they're petitioning to get an $800 million loan right now. It's not
Yeah,
dollars, whatever the figure is, but it's not looking great.
yeah, things are like not actually looking good for Barca. At this point, obviously selling Arthur for Pjanic is not a good swap.
So
I would say.
weird. For 10
It's
mil,
also just
I don't really rate Arthur, but like Pjanic is 30. Like
there's a really good thread on Twitter. I forgot what it is. Probably just gonna be one of those podcasters that says like after the podcast I'll like retweet it, but like I will in terms of Barcelona and Juventus will be able to write these off as 60 million euro profits. So that's sort of
on its
what
face,
helped.
but there are some hidden costs
Yeah,
and stuff that they have
yeah.
to
Obviously,
do.
like there's hidden things, which is why they're able to write it off.
But yeah,
But
they're literally
Barcelona have been
just
so bad.
using Nicky Zero.
I think this is one of those things where like Valverde wasn't good. Like it wasn't like that good of a manager, but at the same time he's sort of like holding the ship together. In that like once Setien came in, like the dam just broke, right? And like this Barcelona team looks so lost. Like you said, Griezmann just does not fit. Dembele is not healthy at all. I think that's also another problem. It's just Suarez is getting older. Midfield so old. Busquets, he's got to go, man. I think this is it. Rakitic, I think he's a little younger, but like also so old. Also, you're giving up your youngest midfielder, and what you're going to do with that? You're going to bring in another 30-year-old midfielder. So I
I
mean,
think
like Barca are
wasn't
getting
Frankie
everything they
younger
deserve.
than Arthur? But again,
Huh?
regardless, I think Frankie's younger than Arthur, so.
Yeah, Frankie's like the only bright spot in that midfield at the point, and like Arturo Vidal, obviously, but like at the same time, he's old too. So like, what?
Yeah, he's a stopgap player, you know. Like
Yeah,
Barca have to seriously consider, like they have to make more the young transfers. So that's simple as that. They need to buy if they're going to continue to, um, you know, be first in La Liga to challenge seriously for the Champions League. They're gonna have to make more signings to support Messi because otherwise, I think at some point Messi's just gonna retire. Like I don't think he really wants to every year be have more and more responsibilities given to him and have him be more and more of a focal point. You know, like he
yeah.
should
I
be
don't
the
think he's
center of
happy
the
with the board.
offense, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
he's very upset with the board.
yeah. I mean, and you see like the rumors of him like not accepting a contract extension, which like in a way you're sort of just like, oh, like why would you blame him, right? Because like at this point, like the writing is on the wall with Barca. Like unless they make some like significant moves, like things aren't going to get any better. And like, I think Barcelona have done a really poor job in terms of planning long term, as you can see with most of their signings. Um, they they make a lot of stopgap like not tweets. I'm sorry, stopgap like signings. They sort of aren't thinking about 4 years down the line. They're thinking like, oh, can how can we like win Champions League this year, and they somehow still lose in heartbreaking fashion. So I think like like this, what the mistakes Barcelona have made will set them back like certainly a couple of years. Which like creates this problem as well because like at one point like you want to contend in Messi's prime, but at the same time like once he leaves, like the state of affairs that you're in, like you're gonna go crashing down. Like this isn't gonna be like one of those things where Barcelona are gonna be okay after Messi. Like no, they're gonna be like 13th, and things are gonna be absolute chaos, and it's gonna take a while for everyone to understand it unless they turn things around.
Yeah, Everton are gonna be your good team once Messi leaves.
Oh, that's yeah, that's. Can you imagine saying that like that long ago? What a turn of events we have, right?
Yeah,
So
truly.
I mean, it's sort of like this
They really,
weird.
I truly, I think one of the biggest things in recent years, it's been a series of missteps and bad decisions,
Hmm.
but I think truly, uh, they really messed up when they sold Neymar.
Yeah, I mean, but at the
It,
same time, like that was just. See, the Neymar thing is sort of like the one where I'm just like, okay, like if he wanted to leave, that's fine. PSG activated the release clause. That's how Spain works. Fine, whatever. I think they really just messed up afterwards in terms of like how are we gonna,
distribute the
like,
funds, 100%. The
yeah,
Coutinho
yeah,
signing too, like I said, yeah, death by a thousand cuts, but truly, especially with all the reports of Messi wanting Neymar back and like all that, like if they had held on to Neymar and then, you know, and basically signed like a Galactico or someone to replace Luis Suarez, I think that truly uh, Barca would have extended their reign by another 2, 3 years, you know, and they could use
yeah.
those resources to then go out and buy someone else, you know. But instead, they've bought Griezmann, they've bought Coutinho. I mean, we're probably about to see exactly what happened with Coutinho happen to Griezmann, where they're gonna try and pawn him off to other big clubs, like loan him and take the wages. But
Yeah, and it's gonna be an absolute mess. Like I said, like a death by a thousand cuts. But like the Coutinho one felt like the slash right through the chest, right? Like that was the one where you're just like, oh, like this
I
isn't
think
this
it's the
isn't good.
Griezmann
Like
one. I mean, they basically got like tampering charges to bring in a guy that doesn't even fit and no one likes.
yeah, which I like. It's just so bad. But shout out to Barcelona for get the Coutinho sale because that allowed Liverpool to get Alisson and Van Dijk. So Barcelona, the people's club, more than a club, they are helpers. Uh, but I mean, like let's talk a little bit. I feel like about Real Madrid. We've been ranting about Barca for a long time. What are your thoughts on Madrid winning this title?
They are.
And like, what are your thoughts on
No,
like?
I know, but just like
Mhm.
it was interesting. I definitely thought Madrid were like ramping up to be in like pole position to be La Liga winners like for next year and the following years. Um, I thought that Hazard started slow. I Hazard and Benzema at the beginning of the season didn't look like they meshed well. It seemed like they were both trying to cut into the same space.
Hmm.
because Benzema kind of generally tends to drift out to that left, like naturally, kind of how he did with Ronaldo and interchange, and Hazard kind of is the exact opposite from the left. He cuts in, and it looked like that was just kind of disjointed. Vinicius Jr. wasn't having his best. I mean, there were how many clips did we see of him missing chances? And it's not like he hasn't still, but Jovic had a pretty slow season. But since the restart, especially, their defense has been tremendous. But especially, I think the Hazard Benzema link up has been great. Benzema's looked world class too since the restart. So I think that if Benz can hold them over kind of for the next like year and a half, they sign a couple more guys, they start to bring some of the younger guys into the fold. They're gonna have Odegaard back this upcoming season. I think Madrid could be really starting to get into like a like a dynasty kind of thing, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, this is Barcelona's tail spinning, and Madrid not looked, haven't looked. Actually, I would say, let me retract. Madrid have looked better, and they seem set up for the future with the guys that they have out on loan currently, and the young guys they have in their squad. Um, so it's no mistake to see Madrid on top. I expect them to win the league next year. I think, based on the way things are going, Champions League, their prospects. We'll see how they play against City. But I do think like this isn't like a changing of the guard, but it's just one of those things where you can see, like you said, like Madrid are really setting up to like not essentially like cruise La Liga, but like they will be favorites for at least the next couple of years, without a doubt. I also wanted to briefly touch on Valencia. Seems like a fire sale is happening there. Do you have any thoughts on that? I think it's just absolutely brutal for the club. It's going to be tough to see a club like Valencia go down like that, but they haven't been good in terms of the league. They're sitting ninth right now, so no Champions League, no Europe. Um, so what do you think? Like, are they going to sell Danny Parejo? Like, who are they going to?
So
What's going to happen essentially?
it looked like this transfer window they were already going to lose Coquelin,
For mhm.
a couple other
for
guys,
Ferran Torres, the
yeah,
city
Ferran
seems.
Torres. But now it looks like they're gonna lose a couple of their forwards. It looks like Kondogbia might leave too. I, I don't know. Like they've clearly mismanaged themselves. Like this is a frequently they've done themselves dirty. You know?
Yeah, yeah. They just haven't. It seems like things are crumbling down with Valencia. They won the Copa del Rey like not too recently, so like this isn't like this sort of like spiral coming right now. It's all sort of just happened in like one season, and now like they're gonna lose like a club legend in Danny Parejo. They might lose Rodrigo. They seem destined to lose Ferran Torres. It's just been a really really weird situation,
If
I would
Parejo
say.
goes, I don't think they finish above 12th next season. I mean,
Yeah,
he makes the whole midfield work. You know? So
yeah.
I don't know.
He's a very, very special player. It's been a weird season with La Liga, obviously with like Getafe finishing sixth. But I think top four has been officially wrapped up. Sevilla 9 points ahead of Villarreal. So your top four is basically Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico, and Sevilla.
What a
So
poor
heading
season
in,
from Atleti, man.
yeah,
Truly. This was their
very,
year.
but like
A weak Barca, a weak Real, in proportion to recent years. I mean, I know that Real have been really good since the restart, but man.
it's not been good. But I was gonna say, not in terms of like La Liga next year or like I'm talking about in terms of now like there are still three Spanish teams in the Champions League at the moment: Barca, Real Madrid, Atletico. Like, what chances are you giving that we see like another Spanish team make the Champions League final again? Not win it, but like at least make it.
Um, I mean, I think Atleti are always a force to be reckoned with, like under Cholo in the Champions League. I think that
Hmm.
especially if they get a league lead, they'll just, they'll shithouse the rest of the game, and I think that's really hard to
Hmm.
play against. If Real can pull out an upset, we'll, just have a greater win in their second leg. It's yet to be seen. I mean, they got embarrassed by Ajax last year, so But I don't know. Do you think Barca is really going to like put up a fight in the Champions Champions League?
I think there's a chance they get beat by Napoli in the second leg. I don't even know if Barca even make it to the quarterfinals. But let's say they do beat Napoli somehow by the skin of their teeth.
I
They
guess
would have to
in
play.
my opinion, Atleti's probably got the best chance to make it to the final. So
Yeah, I was gonna say so.
I don't give
I was gonna
big
say the same thing.
credence to anyone else getting that far.
Yeah, and like Atleti don't have it easy either. Like they gotta play RB Leipzig, which like without Timo Werner is sort of like a dog without a bite. But like at the same time, like it's still RB Leipzig. Like this is gonna be a good like clash stylistically, right? Of like a team um like Atletico Madrid that likes to sit back and defend.
Yeah,
Then
we'll
they
see
do
how the
really well.
press works against the
Yeah,
Atleti team.
I was gonna say like, and you have a team like Leipzig, which like to press the passing lanes, press, force you into bad decisions. But you also you're going to be pressing against a team that generally does sit back and has like three or four guys move up. So I think it's going to be a good clash of styles there. Barca, if they do
I'm
beat
thinking
Napoli,
Saul Brace. That's my prediction. Don't
seems
even
like the
know when
most
the game's.
likely.
It's gonna be a while, but you know.
It's happening August 13th, so we almost have a month. But even if Barcelona do win, like they're gonna have to play the winner of Bayern Chelsea, and that's most likely going to be Bayern. So I mean,
Everything's
and
up in
Bayern
the
are like,
air. Let's calm down.
yeah, Bayern are just chugging on all fronts. They looked really good in the Bundesliga. This wasn't even like a thing of like other teams being bad. It was more of like Bayern just stomping everyone else. And Barcelona don't look good at all, as you've probably been listening for like half this podcast. They've looked absolutely terrible. So I wouldn't be surprised if like this finished like 3-1 Bayern or like 4-1 Bayern on like aggregate if Barcelona and Bayern play each other. So I would give like you said, I would give Atletico Madrid the best chance of making the Champions League. But I think I would really like to see like a PSG
I
Man
wouldn't.
City final. That would
Why?
PSG
Why
Man
would
City
you want
final would be
that?
kind of fun
Uh,
in terms of like attacking football. But I think that should wrap us up on La Liga. Right? Have any other takes on how the season has gone?
no, I think we've basically set our point on all the shortcomings.
Yeah, the relegation race doesn't look too interesting. Leganes and Alves are both. Sorry, Leganes and Mallorca are 4 points off Alves, and Espanyol is already going down. So, any final thoughts? I mean, I wanted to talk about the championship. I think that's been very, very fun this year. With Leeds United uh,
You have a sick,
being
twisted
first.
version of fun.
Yeah, it's a very yeah. And then West Brom and Brentford still fighting for that second spot. So I wanted to ask you, other than Leeds, because I know everyone would love Leeds to be
Up to
promoted.
Brentford, baby.
What two other clubs would you love to see promoted? I'll give my answer, but I just want to hear your answer first.
Oh, dude, it's gotta be Brentford, man. Um,
Brentford and who else? You gotta choose one out
I'm
of
a
two.
big Ollie Watkins fan. I don't want to see any of these teams come up. I don't like. I think Leeds will be fun, but other than that, like, I really don't. I hope Fulham don't don't. I don't know. The only thing about the championship that's exciting is that Wickham will be in it next year. That's it.
Yeah, I mean Wickham Wanderers, absolutely fantastic.
Who's your other team? I know you're dying to tell me.
My other team, I mean West Brom have been really decent.
Matheus Pereira looking really good.
Yeah, I think Pereira is looking like one of the best ones. Obviously Leeds and Brentford, two of my favorite clubs to watch this year. I think just for like the nostalgic feel, Nottingham Forest, like that would be pretty cool to see Forest back in the Premier League, right? It would be like the first time since the '90s. I
Who
feel like since we've seen.
cares?
Yeah, so I mean, I would really like to see Nottingham Forest go up. I mean, obviously they look set on finishing
Who?
fifth, so
Let me ask you this: Who's going to be the Norwich of this group?
um, whoever is that second team among. Okay, so are we assuming that Leeds and Brentford go up?
I'm assuming Leeds go up, just off rip.
Okay, so it's not going to be Leeds. Um, if I had to put my, I would say the winner of the playoff. If it's a non-Brentford side, I would say actually, you know what? Yeah, winner of the playoff for sure. I think that would be our Norwich. Because even though I love Brentford, I wonder how them not having an academy will affect them,
Yeah, I don't think
and
Brentford stay up if they
and
go
if
up.
their players get poached. That's what I'm
Yeah, but I mean, they're not
sort of
gonna get
wondering.
poached if they go up. Like they're gonna like that's the incentive for them to stay. You know?
Yeah, I guess so. Sort of wonder like sorry, not getting players getting poached. I wonder about like their finances in terms of like how much are they going to spend because like once again like we saw Fulham and Villa spend so much money. We saw Wolves spend so much money. We got three totally different results right from each of these clubs. So I think that if I had to like guess of what like a Norwich would be, I would guess like the winner of the playoff. Like, because if West Brom go up, I feel like West Brom will like won't be a Norwich, but like they would definitely be like in the fight for relegation, but they wouldn't be out of it like around this time of the season in terms
We're getting some
of like the end of it.
some big crystal ball vibes from VJ right now. What's their XG,
Yeah,
buddy? I'm just
yeah.
kidding. I don't care. Ha 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 ha. Got him. Just kidding.
Damn. Uh, but I think any other takes? I think the relegation races are looking nice for the championship. Hull City, Luton Town, Barnsley all still have a fighting chance of staying up. Stoke City look to be safe. Huddersfield, Charlton. Oh yeah, let's talk about it. Hull City losing 8-0 to Wigan. That was that was a
Something.
incredible. That was incredible. 7-0 at halftime. Like I know
Yeah,
I
how you
tweeted
only
this,
give
but
up one goal in the second half after giving up seven is
I mean it is a talking point at the press conference, right? To be like, hey, we only gave up one goal in the second half. But like, what do you even say to your team, right? Like when you're down 7-0, right? You sort of just like don't mess up the goal difference, right? Like
you
I
gotta
wouldn't know
Neil
what else to
Warnock
say.
that, just like get a little
Just
shake.
yeah. But the relegation race does take a new twist because of what's going on with Wigan, as we mentioned earlier. They might get that points deduction. So the bottom of the championship table will look a lot different. But the championship's going to be fun next year, either way, with the Wycombe Wanderers,
It'll never be
like you
fun.
said. Champion. No, I will get you into the championship.
I'd rather
You.
die.
um.
Maybe. We'll see.
So anything else you'd like to talk about? Any other soccer topics on your mind? The championship was about my was on my mind, so I wanted to talk about it. Anything else from you?
Hmm. I think this has been a good wrap up. I think we've
Yeah.
gotten it all together. We
Um,
don't talk about France or Germany. That's just how it is.
because they're not even playing. But there are two cup games coming up in August. With like PSG playing, and then PSG Saint Etienne I think are playing, which is like Arsenal have had that big squabble over I think that center back that they have on loan there. But that's for like another podcast. We could probably talk about that next week. Which brings us back to the ending where we always talk about how we're going to pod more. But I think we're kind of serious this time. Oh, we'll see. Come next week.
I hope so.
Um, yeah, I really do hope so. Hopefully this podcast will be out probably by the end of the week for sure. We'll get this up. Once again, thank you to everyone who listened. I know during the pandemic and there's so much soccer content out. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our takes, whether we're on one speed, you're barely listening, or we're on double speed. Thank you so much for the support. Support the pod
Don't
any
be
way
a
you
double
can.
speed guy. Don't do that.
Double speed is great. Just anyone who needs an explanation, just at me on Twitter. Be like, why do you listen to Double Speed podcast? I'll tell you why. But once again, support the pod any way you can. If you feel like shouting us out on Twitter, please do. Tell your friends. Tell
VJ
people.
OnlyFans coming soon.
If, goodness me. Follow us on Twitter. Follow me at VJVimu. Follow Josh at
VJ just had one of
Hibiscuits.
those really big anime like sweat droplets go down his head.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, 100%. Yeah, so follow us on Twitter. Follow the pod. We're gonna have try to have new episodes come out. Try to have new content. We're gonna have guests on. Once again, obviously, we love talking to our friends about soccer. So once again, like share the pod, help support the pod because like even though we're like they're almost 40 episodes in, we're still trying to grow. Still trying to get a decent audience to listen to us. So if you are listening, once again, thank you. And anything else, Josh?
No, I think that about wraps us up. This has been episode 39. We'll catch you guys next week.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.